Alright, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be looking at the Thor Ragnarok buff spotlight. If you don't know already, it is out. So we're going to be comparing it off against, what it is in game. So a little bit of kind of like chop and change between like the spotlight here and kind of look to see if there's any changes. I've heard rumors, a few kind of like people have said, oh, it doesn't look like there's been much line change. So I've been like, right, we've got to check this out. We've got to definitely make sure that is indeed the case. So as I said, we're going to be switching between the game, which is here, and then the spotlight, which is here, and see if anything does feel like it has changed, especially with my 5-star version. So let's have a look. I'm looking to see if there's any kind of like thing from the developer, because sometimes the developer says like, okay, well, this is what we changed. It says that stacking debuffs on the opponent to both disable and deal considerable damage to them. I mean, we know that. A special 3 inflicts special debuff, as well as grants him a buff that gains him chance of inflict shock debuff. It's the boon, isn't it? With each attack he lands, each time a shock debuff is inflicted, Thor also has an additional chance to inflict stun and armor break, which I think that's kind of the thing. So I don't know. I think I need to read on, because that doesn't look like there's anything really kind of changed about it. Anyway, right, let's read on further and then compare with the game. So, high energy damage Thor can inflict shock debuffs. Great versus armor stacking. Right. Power lock, power burn effects. Thor relies on the boon of the gods to gain power. Thus, power lock and power burn like attacks are great. Attacks are a great counter. Well, I really don't know where to start with this, because nothing's striking me just as yet as like a massive kind of like change, or kind of like they've said like a new kind of playing style, anything, which I think Gear Team would always be about. But this time we need to indeed have a look a bit further. So I'm just going to skip down quickly to the signature ability, because that's going to be the big thing of the change. Now we've got here the signature ability on screen, which is Thunder God's Wrath. After SP3, Thor is able to control lightning with his body for 19.33 seconds, based on the different type of signature. There's also a 40% chance to inflict the shock whenever making physical contact with the opponent, dealing X energy damage over 5 seconds. Inflict the shock debuff has a 60% chance. Stun. Okay, so that's a stun. And armor break. Right, okay, fine. And let's have a quick look here to see what has actually been changed, if anything has been changed. Now it's totally changed. Thunder God's Wrath is enhanced to provide 2,118.4 attack rating, so more damage potential. Additionally, each shock on the opponent causes them to suffer 20% ability accuracy. Gain a ton of bonus damage with his new and improved signature ability. That's a massive change, because it's less wordier than this, very wordy. And then we look back at what's been proposed, less wordier, and the more signature ability you have, right, the bigger amount of damage, as it says, that it will do. So that's good. That's actually pretty good. Right, so we go back up again to the start with the abilities. I'm actually impressed with that. I think that's a good start, providing he hits well, because that's the biggest kind of like problem could be. Well, how scalable that damage is and how much it's kind of like feels like there's a greater impact, so to speak. So go back to abilities in game, and we'll start with the top. So with in the game, we've got passives. Shock debuffs are shrugged off 40% faster. I can imagine that's going to be part of the kit and still staying. Doesn't say it, but I can imagine it would be. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Oh, there we go. I've just seen that now. It's not 40% now. It's 90%. Incoming shock effects suffer 90%. Oh no. Incoming shock effects. 90% duration. 90% duration to the enemy. Or, I don't know. Maybe that's not right. Each time Thor inflicts a shock debuff, he has a 16% chance to also inflict a stun debuff. I mean, that's part of the always active, which is like, you compare it with what you've got in game being like, active for every 40 hits a combat meter whenever struck 20 times, blah, 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 blah. When an attack inflicts a stun. I think it's a bit more, I think it looks like it's better. Again, it's like less wordier with some of this stuff, especially kind of like looking here, always active. Each time Thor inflicts a shock debuff, last 16 seconds inflicts stun. Each time Thor inflicts a shock debuff, he has a 45% chance to inflict an armor break debuff, which is good because from what I believe, that is something elsewhere. You have to kind of like, that's part of the signature ability. It's like the signature ability, which is here, being part of the normal ability, so to speak. So yeah, I rate that. I think that's a good change. So what else have they done? Well, they've done Boon of the Gods, which is in game, but it's a little bit different. So each time Thor gains 40 hits on his combo meter or is struck 20 times, he gains Boon of the Gods. Passive, max 2 stacks. Boon of the Gods fills Thor's power meter over 6 seconds and is unaffected by ability accuracy reduction. If Thor is struck by a special attack, Boon of the Gods is removed. So they've changed the Boon of the Gods to count down now instead of counting up. So be careful when you get, he gets close to 0. Right, okay, we'll look out for that. That's going to be fun. When opponent intercepts Thor's dash, 30% chance to auto block the attack. Okay, well that's kind of like we knew that champion does have that. It's just, I guess before it wasn't as prevalent. Now I guess it's going to be a little bit more prevalent with that. And when an attack inflicts a stun, if the opponent has an armor break debuff, the attack deals a burst of additional physical damage equal to 250% of the damage dealt by the attack. Nice. Okay, cool. Spamming SP1 will help you trigger this often and a ton of damage. Nice. Okay, looking forward to it. Special attack 1, 75% chance to inflict a 1.8 second stun debuff. Nice. If a combo meter 40 plus, chance is 100%. Smashing. That's smashing. I mean, that's kind of like, that's similar to what it is now. But that 45% has been buffed to 75%, as you can see on the screen, because we're doing the comparison. And in the SP2, which is here, breaks the opponent's armor, applying armor rating. I said armor break. Yeah, it's an armor break. So what have Kabam changed that with? 100% chance to inflict an armor break. Debuff removing one armor but reducing armor by 1,400 for 16 seconds. That's correct. The armor break debuff is paused while Boon of the Gods is active. Helpful. Very helpful. And then the final thing is the SP3, which is if the attack cannot deal more than 20% of the opponent's max health is damage, the damage cap is increased to 30% if the opponent is suffering from an armor break debuff. So, okay, do an armor break debuff. And 100% chance to inflict the shock debuff. That's a nice amount. And also 100% chance to get a Thunder God's Wrath passive, lasting 30 seconds, which is unaffected by ability action. It's that kind of thing where you do loads of shock damage and stuff, and it's like it's just nice energy damage. If you've seen it, we've talked about this before. I've got a video on the channel about that. But yeah, compared with what the SP3 is now, which is the special attack can only inflict up to a maximum of 20% health. The opponent's health is damaged, so yeah, it's ramped up. And shocks the opponent dealing, this is 802, that could be 802. It's now better than it is. So yeah, I definitely see like some big changes for Thor Rags. Like, look, he's one of the top prestige champions that is not really used as that much in people's rosters, and he always looks like he's busting for the loo. Oh, let me go to the loo. But in all actuality, he's going to be a pretty solid champion, and I'm looking forward to testing him out when this change goes live, which I don't think is next week, but could be the week after. I was getting my kind of wires crossed and my kind of like timing crossed, because if you look at the way the event lies, it is on a 15 days in order to expire when the new one comes in. So that's going to be the week beginning the 5th. No, the update will be in between the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So around there. It's usually the 4th, isn't it? Or usually the first Monday or Tuesday, something like that. So that's when that change is going to go live. Yeah, I'm really excited about the changes that is going to come our way for Thor Ragnarok. I think mostly I'm liking the way that the champion seems to be given a signature ability that if you're going to scale that bad boy up, that damage is going to be rock solid. I'm talking like a full-on smash right here from this champ. And it's going to be, I reckon this champ's going to be more usable now. Whether or not you see him in my Cavalier cheat sheets as a strong contender to be used in monthly content, I'm certainly going to be rank 5ing him. But I do want to test him out first before doing that. But from what I gather and from what I see on paper, I'm actually pretty much looking forward to this champion coming in. So yeah, big positive news with Thor Rags getting the buff. But what are your thoughts? Put it in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to check out some other content like the Marvel Contest of Champions news show that was sponsored today by Manscaped. Make sure to check out manscaped.com And also use the code RichTheMan at checkout for 20% off. Appreciate everybody for supporting, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.